Ouch, that hurts. A sudden cry rang out as the head chef, Alex, dropped his knife. In the kitchen of an old inn, nestled in a rundown fishing village. The joy over the long-awaited group guests was short-lived, as tragedy struck the inn's sole cook. Ah! It's over, it's all over. Alex groaned in agony, while Emily, the landlady, lamented. At that moment, someone stood up. I'll do it. I'll cook in place of the head chef. What, you? It was a guest who had visited the inn just a week ago, without any reservation. He stepped into the kitchen and began cooking on his own. Please. This decision would go on to change the inn's future, and my life, in a big way. All around was the vast, clear sea. The air was thick with the salty scent of the tide. The blazing sun scorched the earth, but the cold sea breeze tempered the heat, creating a pleasant warmth in the air. Down by the port, fishermen, having finished their work, gathered, laughing heartily. In this peaceful, simple seaside town, a solitary, gloomy man trudged alone. Why? My name is Jake, 35 years old. I'd been haunted by that question all this time. Why did I have to go through that? Cursing my fate, I wandered aimlessly. Hey, what's wrong, man? You don't look so good. Are you a tourist? Stop by my shop, I'll give you a discount. The friendly locals greeted me with kindness, one after another. But I walked past without replying. With my back hunched and a single backpack slung over my shoulder, I continued walking along the coastline. If only I could exhaust myself to the point where I couldn't think anymore. Maybe then, the painful memories would fade a little. That was all that kept me going. Eventually, the sun set, and darkness fell over the outskirts of the town, where there were no streetlights or houses. Walking this long, even my legs felt heavy. I guess I'll sleep outside tonight, I thought, scanning my surroundings for a suitable spot. What's that? In the distance, I saw a faint light. For some reason, it piqued my interest. And so, I started moving toward the light. No way, a guest. Dad, we have a guest. A woman, around my age, exclaimed as soon as she saw my face, shouting towards the back of the building. Then, from the back emerged a man in his 60s, dressed in traditional work clothes, with a stern expression. Emily, how could you greet a guest like that? Where are your manners? Sorry, I just got excited. The scolded woman looked dejected, but in an instant, she broke into a radiant smile. Welcome to our inn. I am Emily, the landlady. She placed her hands gracefully in front of her knees and bowed silently. It was as if I had arrived at a top-class inn, her movements so elegant and flawless. This place looks run down, doesn't it? It used to be beautiful back in the day. As she led me inside, Emily laughed cheerfully. Indeed, every part of the inn seemed to be in disrepair. Though I kept these thoughts to myself, I followed her down the creaking hallway. Drawn here almost by fate, I found myself standing in front of an old inn with a sign that read Silver Lake Inn. The sea breeze had taken its toll on the building. Paint was peeling off in several places, leaving it in a state of disrepair. The structure was in poor condition, with shutters and the front door rattling in the wind as if they had a life of their own. The lights were on, but could they really still be open for business? Feeling a bit suspicious, I quietly slid open the front door. That was when Emily noticed me and shouted, I should mention, I don't have a reservation. That's totally fine. As you can see, there are no other guests here. Is this really something to laugh about? Oblivious to my doubts, Emily laughed cheerfully once more. You must be exhausted. I'll get dinner ready right away. My father is the head chef here, and he prepares an exquisite full-course meal using fresh seafood. No, that's not necessary. Then, how about a bath? We may be small, but we do have hot springs. That won't be necessary either. I don't need anything, so just leave me alone. After saying this, I slid the paper door of my room shut. No matter what I ate, it wasn't going to taste good to me. The shower in the room would suffice for cleaning up. I just wanted to be alone. But Emily wouldn't give up. If you don't have much of an appetite, I could prepare something light. Or if you have any requests. I don't. I don't need dinner. Oh, how about I bring a fan to your room? I don't need that either. Well then, is there anything else you might need? Emily followed me everywhere, persistently trying to take care of me. Just give it a rest, leave me alone. I was about to snap in frustration, when suddenly, oh, that's right. A large golden-eye snapper was caught today. We were thinking of making a simmered dish with it, my father Alex was. Simmered golden-eye snapper. It used to be my favorite dish. I hadn't had it in a long time, but just thinking about that flavor. Ah! A loud growl came from my stomach, and my face flushed with heat. Emily said nothing about it. She simply smiled and said, "I'll prepare dinner right away," before disappearing down the hallway. My stomach, it still gets hungry. I want to eat. It was the first time in a long while that I had felt that way. What? As I took my first bite of the dish set in front of me, a shock ran through me. Beside me, Emily watched with a cheerful smile, while Alex looked on tensely, waiting to see my reaction, my chopsticks frozen in midair. Was there something wrong with the dish? Oh, come on, Dad. There's no way you could make a mistake with your cooking, right? It must be too delicious for words. Really? It doesn't seem that way. At times like this, how should I express it? I had almost forgotten, but yes. It was just like Emily had said. It's delicious. See, I was right. Emily's excited voice rang out, and Alex quickly scolded her, "Emily, not in front of the guest." Ignoring their exchange, I continued shoveling food into my mouth with incredible speed. No, it wasn't that I was forcing myself to eat, I simply couldn't stop. So, how is it? The full course prepared by Silver Lake Inn's proud head chef? Emily asked with a smile, but I couldn't even respond. I was so absorbed in eating that I forgot to breathe. The ingredients seemed to have been prepared more tenderly and in smaller portions than usual. The flavors were subtle, with more simmered and marinated dishes than fried ones like tempura. It was clear, without asking, that this was their way of being considerate toward me. Emily mentioned that you seemed quite hungry. We may have overstepped, but no, it's not an imposition. I wanted to say that, but the words wouldn't come out. Partly because my mouth was full, but mostly because I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. Ugh, it's so good, ugh. Dad. Emily softly called out to Alex, and the two of them quietly left my room. They were giving me some privacy. I was so consumed by the meal, crying as I ate, that it took me a while to even notice. Please, let me work here at this inn. When Emily came back to clear the dishes, I bowed my head so low it nearly touched the tatami mat. Well, we're always short-handed, actually. It's just the two of us, so I'll do anything. Please, raise your head, Jake. Oh, what should I do? I kept bowing over and over, causing her to panic. Then, I told her about my situation, how I had left my job and was currently unemployed. That was all I could reveal. Could I ask what kind of work you did before? A bit in the culinary field. Oh, my. That would certainly be a help to my father, but, well, our finances are. I don't care if the pay is low, or even if there's no pay at all. Please. The reason I was so insistent was because I was deeply moved by the head chef's skill. The taste was exceptional, of course, but it was also a full course brimming with care and warmth. It was as if, in that moment, it had melted the ice of despair that had frozen my heart. Well, we do have a large group reservation next week. I'll be busy attending to the guests, and I won't have time to help with the preparations. Please, let me assist with that. I can be of some help, I promise. No, I will make sure I am. Jake. Please. Seizing the moment, I pressed on. And finally, Emily gave in. That's how I became a temporary employee at Silver Lake Inn. Well now. Alex, who had been watching me with suspicion, let out a sound of approval as he observed my work. You're quite efficient, Jake. The way you cut the vegetables is precise, and you don't waste any motion. You seem used to working in a kitchen. Did you say you were in the culinary field before? Well, something like that. I responded vaguely, continuing my tasks as he instructed. Apparently, there was a rare reservation today, so we were in the middle of prepping dinner. At first, Alex had been strongly opposed to me working in the kitchen. But once I proved that I was actually useful, his mood improved instantly. They say Emily inherited his way of quickly shifting expressions. But honestly, you've been a big help. I'm getting on in years. Even if there aren't many guests, standing all day is hard on my back. Oh, look. There it goes again. Ouch. Are you all right? I have to ask, can you fillet a fish, Jake? Well, I can manage. Really? He asked me to try filleting one for him. As I slid the knife into the C-beam on the cutting board, his eyes widened in shock. Jake, who are you, really? Without answering, I just continued working in silence. A week later. This was the day of the group reservation, and both Emily and Alex were in high spirits from the early morning. Wow, it's so clean. Everything's sparkling. Well, I tried to hide the rundown parts as much as possible. This is the first time we've had a reservation for 20 people since I became the landlady, so I started cleaning at 4 a.m. I hand-picked the finest fish at the port. I haven't woken up at 3 a.m. in ages. Are you sure you're okay, Alex? I'm fine. In fact, I feel more energetic than usual, thinking about the old days. Ha ha ha. Right. Watching the two of them, I couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy. And, just a few hours later, my bad feeling turned out to be right on the mark. Oh. Alex, who had been skillfully filleting fish, suddenly dropped his knife. Then, he collapsed on the spot. Alex. It hurts. It hurts? Is it your back? Yeah. I threw it out, my back. I rushed to get Emily. When we returned, Alex was groaning in even more pain. Dad, are you all right? Painkillers, and some band-aids. Please. Ah. You're planning to keep cooking? You can't in this condition. It's over. If I don't do it, who will? It was a heavy, forceful declaration. He had been the only one holding down the kitchen after all the other chefs had left due to the financial difficulties. You could feel the weight of the years and the responsibility he had been shouldering. "I'll do it." "What?" Through tear-filled eyes, Emily looked up at me. "I'll do it. I'll cook in Alex's place." "Jake, I can't believe I just volunteered to cook. Until a week ago, when I was wandering aimlessly, this would have been unthinkable. I had completely given up, thinking I would never be able to do it again. But Jake, it's a full course for 20 people. And we're not even halfway through the prep." Alex endured the sharp pain, his eyes fixed on the mountain of ingredients with a worried look. Of course, he was anxious. I was just a stranger who had shown up a few days ago, claiming to have worked in the culinary field. And today's reservation was nothing short of a lifeline for this inn, a group that could potentially save their business. Failure was not an option. But Alex nodded and said, "All right." "What?" "Dad? Emily, I trust Jake. This man is no ordinary person. And we don't have time to hesitate, Ms. Landlady." He rebuked her, not as her father, but as one of the staff. Meanwhile, dinner time was drawing closer with each passing second. "Ah, that did it again. Dad. Emily, please take care of Alex. I can't stop what I'm doing. Jake." When Emily looked up at me, I had already started cooking. Without stopping me, she supported Alex and left the kitchen. "Please, Jake." I think I heard her say that, but it barely registered. A few hours later, somehow, I had managed to complete the enormous task and was catching my breath in the kitchen. Suddenly, Emily burst in, looking flustered. "Jake." "Emily. Alex will be angry if you make such a racket with your footsteps. I'll get scolded later. But more importantly, you have to come with me. Hurry." "What?" She grabbed my hand with surprising force and dragged me out of the kitchen. She led me through the corridor at a run, and finally, we arrived at the banquet hall in the center of the inn. "Excuse us. I've brought the head chef." Switching to a calm demeanor, Emily slid the paper door open quietly. Inside were the 20 guests who had just finished their meal. All eyes turned to me. "Jake, you should greet them as well." "Yes. My name is Jake. Thank you for choosing to stay with us." I stumbled over my words, feeling awkward about the head chef title. Could it be that there were complaints about the food? Not knowing the reason, I braced myself. "Oh, so you're the head chef? You look quite young." One of the guests, an elegant elderly lady, spoke up. "No, I'm just..." The food was absolutely delicious. Wasn't it? She turned to the others, who nodded in agreement. Then, "It was fantastic, truly. Impressive, especially for someone so young. Best meal we've had." I listened in stunned silence as the voices of praise came one after another. "I'm sorry for dragging you here so abruptly." The guests insisted on giving their compliments directly to the chef. I got a bit excited too. Emily whispered to me quietly. "That's right. It's my cooking that's making these people happy." The realization finally hit me, and suddenly, I felt a warmth rise to my eyes. "Thank you so much." "Oh, but then..." The elderly lady's next words made the blood drain from my face. Yes, now I remember. I knew it tasted familiar. This cooking is just like the dishes at Royal A. "What? Royal A, you mean that famous hotel in the city?" "Exactly. Royal A," the name spoke for itself, a luxury resort hotel in the heart of the city. The restaurant was especially renowned, attracting guests who came solely for the exquisite cuisine. It was a few years ago, but I still can't forget the full-course Japanese meal I had there. I heard rumors that the head chef changed, and the quality has dropped since then. Well, isn't that something? To think that our inn's cuisine could resemble that of such a high-end hotel. Indeed. I wonder if the head chef here trained at Royal A. Oh, Jake? Are you all right? You're looking pale. Emily asked with concern, but my head was pounding too much to make out her words. I'm just feeling a bit exhausted, I mumbled as I stumbled out of the banquet hall. It's no use. I can't stay here any longer. If I do, this inn will be in danger. Jake, please rest. You look terrible. Emily rushed into the kitchen, where I was washing dishes. But I didn't stop. I wanted to repay this inn, to repay Emily and Alex, even just a little, before I left. These are all such tasteful dishes. And they've been well maintained. Yes, they were all chosen by my mother, the previous landlady. She took great care of everything, and whenever she had a moment, she would be here, polishing the dishes. She always told me, treat everything with care, for the guests will be the ones holding them. She must have been a wonderful mother and a remarkable landlady. Yes. With a nostalgic look, Emily spoke of her memories with her mother. This place used to be the most luxurious inn in town. During my mother's time, it was especially prosperous. I admired how she managed so many attendants. Wanting to be like her, I went to train at a long-established inn in Kyoto right after high school. That's why your movements are so graceful. But, by the time I returned, both the town and the inn had lost their vitality. We tried to rebuild it, the three of us, but my mother. She overworked herself and that's why this inn is her legacy. I want to protect it, no matter what. Emily sank to her knees in the hallway. She then turned to me, bowing deeply, deeply. Please, Jake. Even if it's just until my father recovers, could you serve as our head chef? Emily. Please. Emily. I'm sorry. I can't. What? When she looked up, her face was the very picture of despair. The face of someone whose last hope had been taken away. I'll be leaving tomorrow. Thank you for everything. No, at least stay for this week. I can't. I have to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be the end of Silver Lake. The end? What do you mean, Jake? It's, if I stay, Emily, you'll suffer because of me. Unable to look at her face, I turned my back and told her my decision. Today's meal was wonderful, Jake. I was told this as I was called to the table by a customer who had completely finished their meal. To me, there was no greater joy. At the luxury resort Hotel Royal in the city, I had become the youngest head chef of the Japanese cuisine division. I had trained at several prestigious establishments before being scouted by the executive chef David when I was 30. I remember feeling so happy that my body trembled, thinking my years of hard work had finally paid off. There will be those who complain because you're young, but don't let it get to you. A chef proves himself with his skill, not his words. Yes, sir. As David said, at first, I was met with jealousy and sneers of, what can this young guy do? But I had a strong weapon. Out of everyone here, I could make the food I loved the best. That confidence was my support. Gradually, even the eyes of those around me began to change. The next executive chef is surely going to be Jake. Within 5 years, such words began to spread among my colleagues. David was getting older and often spoke of retiring. My skills and the efforts of the past 5 years were widely recognized, even beyond my division. But then, with the arrival of a certain individual, all my efforts were rendered meaningless. And I was robbed of the thing I loved most, cooking. I'm Michael, the new executive chef. Pleased to meet you all. The man appeared out of nowhere, giving us a smug greeting. And David, without anyone knowing, had quietly retired. I learned later that this was all due to a change in hotel management. The new CEO, an acquaintance of Michael's, had appointed him as the executive chef on a whim. For now, you there. Go peel some vegetables in the corner. And then, clean up and wash the dishes. What? He pointed directly at me. He wanted to control every division as he saw fit. As a first step to taking over the Japanese cuisine division, he pushed me, the head chef, away from cooking. Could you please let me cook? I begged him over and over, but Michael just laughed in my face. Do you think the guests won't be satisfied unless it's your cooking? Don't be so full of yourself. Look, the kitchen is running just fine, isn't it? It doesn't have to be you. The guests and the staff don't care. Look, the kitchen is running just fine. It doesn't have to be you. The guests and everyone else don't need you. Stripped of my ability to cook and my pride shattered, I gradually lost my confidence and my place. It was during this time that the incident happened. Bring me the person who made this. One customer shouted furiously, lodging a complaint. I recognized that face. A famously harsh food critic known for his gourmet tastes. This is the worst dish I've ever had. I want to see the face of the incompetent chef who made this. His voice was so loud that it could be heard in the kitchen. Who could have? I looked around. Hiding behind the sink, Michael was trembling. The final touch was off. I tried to showcase an innovative dish, and What? There's no choice, you, go out there. You made that dish. What? As I was washing dishes, Michael shockingly pushed me forward as the culprit. Naturally, the critic turned his fury towards me. He berated me mercilessly, and finally spat out his last words. I'll remember your face. As long as you're here, I'll never come back to this hotel again. That was the reason I got fired from the hotel. The higher-ups made an immediate decision, fearing the critic would ruin their reputation. And the bad news didn't stop there. I heard the rumors. So, you're the terrible chef, huh? That guy was a regular customer. Sorry, but we can't hire you. So, being the former head chef was just a fluke, or maybe you had connections? The rumor about the harsh critics' review spread, and I couldn't find a job anywhere. All I had was cooking, and now even that was taken away from me. It felt like losing my very place in life. Why did this happen to me? What did I do? Thus, I fell into despair with my life. Trying to escape the harsh reality, I set off on a journey with no destination. If I stay here, the inn's reputation will suffer. Emily and Alex will become unhappy, so I have to disappear right away. Emily's eyes widened as she listened to my story in silence. But when my words finally trailed off, like a flower blooming, she suddenly broke into a bright smile. Oh, that's it? That's what you're worried about? What, do you mean, that's it? No way, Jake, you bring bad luck. If anything, it's the hotel's loss for firing you. And those places that believed the rumors and missed out on such a skilled chef. It was as if I'd been hit on the head with a hammer. Not one of my colleagues or fellow chefs had ever said anything like that to me. But what if that critic finds out I'm here? How? How would a famous critic ever find out about a rundown old inn in a quiet fishing town like this? Honestly, I'd love to tell him. You're mistaken, Emily. So, don't worry. Please, stay here with us. Are you sure that I can cook here? Hearing Emily's words, the tears I had held back in the banquet hall finally began to flow. Yes. Emily nodded with a bright smile. Another voice joined in. Of course, Jake. Alex. Are you okay, getting up like this? Not at all. I'll need to rest for a week at least. There's no way I can be back in the kitchen tomorrow. Were you listening the whole time? Alex chuckled and, while holding his aching back, tried to kneel down in the hallway. I quickly rushed over to support him. Hey, you can't do that, Alex. I'll do this as many times as it takes until you say you'll stay, Jake. Ouch. I'll be tough on you too, Dad. So hang in there. Emily, don't encourage him. And Alex, in your condition. Before I knew it, I was laughing for the first time in 6 months. The way Alex acted all tough, yet kept glancing at Emily as if hoping she'd stop him, was too funny. I couldn't help but laugh, even though I felt bad for him. That's right. Are you going to abandon an old man like me in this condition, Jake? Okay. I'll stay. Really? Emily let out a joyful voice from the bottom of her heart. Alex slowly straightened up, looking directly into my eyes. You know, Jake, I think a place is somewhere you feel needed. Losing that can be really tough. Yes. But Emily and I need you, Jake. If you could consider this your place, we wouldn't feel unlucky at all. In fact, we'd be incredibly fortunate. Yes. The tears that had stopped earlier started flowing again, but at the same time, I felt a sense of clarity. My heart, which had hit rock bottom, was now completely saved. All right. I'll stay a little longer, at least until Alex recovers. Thank you. Emily exclaimed, grabbing my hands. Seeing my face turn red, Emily and Alex both burst into laughter. And, unable to help myself, I found myself laughing too. A month passed. Unfortunately, Alex's back had not yet fully recovered. My stint as the acting head chef continued to drag on. Alex, isn't it about time you shared your recipes with me? I've been getting comments from guests saying the taste is different from before. I found myself by Alex's bedside again today, pleading with him. It's fine as it is. Just keep doing things your way, Jake. But people are here for your cooking, Alex. Our inn's recipes are a closely guarded secret. I can't just hand them over, especially not to someone who might leave once I'm back on my feet. With Alex always taking this stance, the taste of Silver Lake had changed significantly. But he kept saying, that's okay. Eventually, there will be more new customers than old regulars. When those new customers remember the taste of Silver Lake, it'll be the dishes you made, Jake. And they'll come back for that taste. So, it's fine. Is that really true? There haven't been any complaints, have there? No. Actually, there's a hidden gem in this quiet fishing town where you can enjoy exquisite Japanese cuisine. That rumor had spread from somewhere, drawing many guests to Silver Lake. Even old regulars, who had drifted away, started returning one by one upon hearing the rumors. While some did notice the change in flavor, the plates were always left clean and empty. Ah, there you are, with Dad again. Emily slid the paper door open and spoke in an exasperated voice. We have so many reservations today. We need to discuss tonight's dinner, tomorrow's supplies, and anyway, we're busy. Sorry, I'll be right there. Chided for slacking off, I hurriedly left Alex's room. Emily had become much more straightforward lately. Alex had once grumbled that she had become just like the previous landlady. Honestly, you get along with Dad so well, I'm starting to get jealous. Ha! Kidding. Just kidding. Emily smiled in a way I hadn't seen before. Lately, even amid the busyness, I found myself watching her without realizing it. With every little thing I discovered about her, I wanted to know more. Jake? Oh. No, it's nothing. I awkwardly changed the subject, trying to cover up the fact that I had been staring at her. So, I heard we got a magazine interview request. That's amazing. Yes. It's from a magazine that's quite famous in the gourmet world. If it goes well, we might get even more guests. Looks like you'll be even busier, Jake. Yes. Emily smiled so brightly, looking genuinely happy, and I couldn't help but find her incredibly cute. Caught in her charm once again, I replied, feeling as if I was in a dream. But then, on the day of the interview, I felt as if I had been thrown from heaven into the depths of hell. Why? The hand holding the knife was trembling uncontrollably. I couldn't possibly cook like this. I handed over my tasks to the newly hired chef, Jake. As I stepped out of the kitchen, I came face to face with Emily, who had a worried expression. Of all people, why did it have to be him? It was decided at the last minute, and I had no idea. We have become quite well known. The person who came for the magazine interview was different from what had been planned. It was the famous food critic. The same harsh critic who had caused me to leave the hotel. Are you all right, Jake? Yeah, since he's here, he's still a guest, no matter who he is. I'll make sure to serve a dish he can't possibly criticize. I tried to sound confident, but inside, I was terrified. What if he spread bad rumors again? All the new customers we've gained might end up leaving once more. And this time, my presence would truly bring misfortune to Emily and Alex. Jake. A light shock ran across my cheek. I was pulled out of my dark thoughts. Emily had cupped my face in her hands and smiled warmly. Your place is here. What? Even if that famous critic gives a harsh review, I will probably recommend your cooking to our guests. Because it's incredibly delicious. We need you, Jake, and there's no way we'll ever let you go. See, now you can feel at ease, right? Yes. There was an inexplicable conviction in her words. Before I knew it, my hands had stopped trembling. Sorry for slacking off when things are so busy. Exactly. Now, get back to the kitchen. Yes. I returned to the kitchen and gripped the knife once more. All I could do was pour everything I had into my cooking. Whatever happens next, I wouldn't run away again. And then, several minutes later, it's done. Please take it out. I had finished the dish, the one I was most confident in creating. Jake. Not long after the dish was served, I heard Emily's hurried footsteps and her voice calling out to me from the hallway. My heart skipped a beat. The customer is asking for you. They want to see the person who made this dish. Just like before. Being called to the table, only to be berated endlessly. Was the same thing going to happen here as well? All right. I had confidence in the dish, but if it wasn't good enough, then so be it. I steeled myself and headed toward the critic who had asked for me. There he was, the last person I ever wanted to see again. Are you from that hotel? It's been a while. The critic looked at me, his eyes widening in surprise. I braced myself, fully expecting him to start berating me, but he said nothing. He just stared silently at the empty plates in front of him. It was good. What? It was delicious, your cooking. When I asked him to repeat himself, he said it again, clearly this time. But I don't understand. The food I had at that hotel was so awful that I never wanted to think about it again. Are you really the same chef who made that? That wasn't my cooking. Even if he didn't believe me, I had to say it. I needed him to know that I wasn't like Michael, who ruined dishes out of selfishness. The man nodded in understanding. I thought so. I've wanted to apologize to you for so long. I searched for you, but to think I'd find you here. He stood up and then sat down directly in front of me. Suddenly, he bowed deeply. I'm so sorry. If I had taken a moment to think, I would have realized it couldn't have been the cooking of such a reputable head chef like you. I let my anger get the best of me and didn't even bother to confirm. Because of his hasty judgment, a great chef had his life thrown into disarray. He had felt so guilty and wanted to apologize, which is why he had been searching for me all this time. He apologized again, bowing deeply, over and over. He was truly sorry for what happened back then. It's all right. I'm just glad you understand now. My chest tightened, and tears fell on their own. Finally, those painful days were being redeemed. My aimless journey had led me here, to this very moment. If you'll allow me, may I come again? Yes, please do. We'll be looking forward to it. Emily and I exchanged a glance and smiled as we responded to him. Later, he praised my cooking in the magazine. He wrote that the food at Silver Lake Inn was the best. Thanks to this, the inn's reputation skyrocketed, and Silver Lake regained the lively atmosphere it once had, becoming a place where reservations were almost impossible to secure. Eventually, Silver Lake became a popular inn known to everyone. One day, a man came to visit. It was the very person who had once thrown me into hell, Michael, the head chef of Royal A. Jake, come back. I'll pay you double your previous salary. Royal A had lost its culinary reputation, and even the hotel itself was struggling to attract guests. Michael had been pressured by the CEO, who told him he'd be fired if he didn't bring me back. But that wasn't my concern. I refuse. Wait, I'll even give you the position of executive chef. No, thank you. Why should I clean up your mess when you're the one who ruined the reputation? This is the prestigious Royal A, you know. Even if its reputation has dipped a bit, it still can't be compared to this rundown inn in the middle of nowhere. Michael's voice weakened with every word. And for good reason, the rundown inn was a thing of the past. Inside and out, the inn had been fully renovated, now gleaming with the elegance of a luxury inn. Your information is outdated, Michael. Are you what they call a head chef at a luxury hotel? Leave. I never want to see your face here again. I commanded sternly, and Michael slumped his shoulders, leaving in defeat. I briefly considered whether I should have thrown some salt after him for good measure. As I pondered, I realized that Emily had appeared behind me at some point. Was that really okay? turning him away like that? Of course. I like it here. Does that mean you'll stay here forever? Emily's eyes wavered with uncertainty. That's right. I suddenly remembered the important question I had yet to ask. Can I stay here forever? With you and Alex? Jake. Her eyes welled up with tears, and then she broke into a beaming smile. Yes, stay with us forever, Jake. Eventually, Emily and I got married. I officially took over the position of head chef from Alex, who had decided to retire. And so, I continued to cook at Silver Lake for the rest of my life. Even if you think you're at rock bottom right now, as long as you're alive and keep moving forward, there will always be a way out somewhere. And you can make your life shine again. Some might call this an idealistic notion, but I don't see it that way. Because I, myself, found the light from the depths of despair. And I was able to return to the world I love.